What is up? Welcome back to Contingent on You Listening. My name is StevePloetz, here with my co-host Isaiah Hernandez.
What's going on, everyone?
Contingent on You Listening is a podcast sponsored by Century 21 Award affiliated, talking all things real estate, how they relate to agents and things that we can do better, what's happening in the market, things that are happening for consumers. By all means, a bunch of different stuff. And Isaiah, recently, I just kind of wanted to start with a little bit of a chat. You worked an open house.
I did.
At a listing of mine. I just wanted to see, so did you bring me a buyer or what's up?
I think I may have a buyer or two, but let's talk about that open house. I mean, first off, thanks for giving me that open house.
You're welcome.
It was a beautiful property.
Hey, thank you.
Beautiful property. Wonderful area. Encinitas, west of the 5 freeway. So, of course, it was highly desired. But I wanted to talk about kind of my experience. Had about like 25 people go in, and this is my first open house since coming in full time as a realtor.
Good for you.
So I was like, I was excited. This is where we had a conversation before about having, more like active interactions with
clients, not sitting around waiting for clients to reach out to you, but getting belly to belly with people.
For sure. And that's what I did with open house. And so it was great. I knew this was a higher end listing, so I wanted to make a splash. So I got, I got beverages, I got snacks, got some home baked cookies.
Look at you.
Well made. Big hit, by the way. But
I call bullshit on that they were homemade, that you made them.
I didn't make them. No, it was a family friend who made them, and so I appreciate her sponsoring it. So, anyways, got 25 people in there. I'm going to be honest. First one came in. Had an agent. They were from LA, buyers from LA, and it's always fun to see as a new agent, other more experienced agents come in with their clients, because this agent was zipping through up and was talking about all kinds of different things about the home, about the neighborhood, about the area, and I was kind of like holy shit, she was clearly
it's valuable to be a good student and to watch how other agents do things and what they do well. You asked a good question that I just wanted to highlight a little bit for our viewers, talking about, hey, when should I follow up with these people? And so I just kind of wanted to bring light to that text conversation. You said, hey, I have some people that I'm going to follow up with. We ended up having multiple offers on that property. And so just figuring out when should I follow up. My opinion, purely an opinion, but I am an expert on my own opinion. I think that whenever you reach out to that person, typically I wouldn't want it to go more than 24 hours. You want to have a reason to reach out to them rather than, hey, I'm just following up. And just following up is better than nothing. So if you have no reason to follow up with them, then following up is good enough, but leave some open-ended stuff. Hey, I want to figure out what type of flooring this is. Is this hardwood? What does the HOA cover? Just having those things to be able to say to the consumer, hey, I met you yesterday. By the way, I did get you the answer. The flooring is bamboo. The HOA covers water, trash, whatever are the items that are like this.
And I took that advice to heart, because what happened was those first two clients that came in struck out, because one had a realtor, the other one was a mom renting, and then I didn't get to close on that conversation because she was renting. She threw it out there. She was renting, and I didn't get to close on there. So I'm down 0 for 2, and I'm kind of thinking okay, shit, I got to get my stuff together because I got people coming in. There's going to be more people coming in. But as soon as that conversation, after they left, more people came in, and I'm happy to say that I left with 7 contacts, emails and phones, a mix of both.
And we talked about growing your database as a goal. So you've got 7 people.
7 new.
Now you can follow up with great takeaway. Stupid question: why the hell are you wearing this jersey?
I'm wearing this jersey because, as you may be well aware, our topic today is to be a Michael Jordan, do you need a Phil Jackson? And to translate that to real estate, to be a top dog like my good friend on the left and our soon to be announced guest on my right, do you need a mentor? And you and I have conversations, and in a way, you are like a mentor to me because I'm soaking it up what you're saying. And so we thought it would be great to have a top producing agent from Century 21 Award, Mr. Todd Romano, basketball fanatic, which is why I'm wearing the Lakers jersey, because him and I have countless conversations about the Lakers and just NBA basketball. 15-time Centurion winner, and overall amazing person. And let's shout out that DJ T Ski handle that he had back in the day.
Welcome into the studio, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Really appreciate you being here. As we talked about kind of off air, there's a lot of personalities that come in. You're somebody that I would say, for me personally, you and I have been in the company about the same time. I was licensed in 2005 and started with Award. You were licensed similar?
2007.
Yeah, so about the same time. And it seems to me, other than maybe years 1 and year 2, I mean, we're saying 15-year Centurion, 2007. Let me do some math. That means basically every year except your first year you were a Centurion, maybe first or second year you were a Centurion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You have done strong business basically your whole career. Let's say 95% of your career. And you've done business, I hate to use the trite saying like relentless, because Century 21 is big on this like hashtag relentless, but consistency is really what I have recognized in the way that you have done business. It always seems to me as an outsider kind of looking in, you do business at a high level of professionalism. We were talking about mirroring and matching and talking to people over the phone about communicating with them when you don't know them. So my question, the feedback from the group here has been, I need to make my questions a lot shorter. I haven't done that on this first one.
Yeah, no, well set up. Set up well.
But how? How do you do it day in and day out?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a great question. And looking at the notes preparing for today, that's the one word that keeps coming to mind too, right? You know, what was the advice that was given to you in the beginning? Consistency. How do you execute? Consistency. I mean, consistency will solve so many of those problems. Kind of, you know, just to set the stage with that though. So we were talking on air about our past lifetime prior to getting into real estate. You know, my wife and I came here together in 2005, and within 2 years' time frame, I was going to get my real estate license and getting into real estate. Not from San Diego, literally zero family in San Diego.
From the Bay Area, correct?
Well, yes, Bay Area through Las Vegas to here. We came here from Las Vegas, and getting in 2007 at that time, keep in mind 2007, right? This is right after 2006.
Yes.
Crash is the word you heard constantly. You know, I kind of got in and got my feet wet and was dabbling with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then in those early years, I got introduced to the Mike Ferry system.
I got you.
And for me, not being from the market and having made a commitment to say, okay, we're going to stay here in Southern California. This is where we want to be home. I'm going to walk away from these other opportunities to stay here. It was absolutely, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to half-ass it.
Was Mike Ferry the first person to give you that mentorship? Or was it someone in the office?
Yeah, you know, there were several agents, obviously. I've been with Century 21 since the day that I got my license. So, you know, many of the mentors, you know, were the top producing agents around that time who I got involved with. And at the time, Craig Citron was managing us, and Ben Evers, and, you know, people like that had influenced me and introduced me to other top producers, and watching them and getting introduced to the Mike system. For me, it was the only one that made a lot of sense in the sense that it was scalable, it was duplicatable. I would look at these agents and I would go, wow, you know, they're really selling 40, 50, 60 homes, 1 and 2 at a time. You know, just right. I met this guy over here. I met this one over here, an open house, a cold caller, for sale by owner, an absentee owner. And I mean, really for me, you know, it's been very much they say real estate is a contact sport. It's been very much about making a lot of contacts and keeping track and being accountable and monitoring, keeping track of those, because I mean, I didn't have a choice in the beginning, not being from the market. If I wanted to sell homes.
You didn't have a choice in that if you're going to pay your bills, my bills come in regularly. Like, I got to make this work. Let's burn our safety net. Let's cut the parachutes kind of stuff. I guess I get that for year 2. We've talked about agents don't quit in year 1, they quit in year 2 or 3 when the excitement wears off. And
good point. Yeah.
Then they recognize that this is difficult, that this is hard to do.
Yeah.
You're in year 16, 17?
Coming up on 16 now, yeah.
And you've remained consistent.
Yeah.
I get it at the beginning. How do you do it after a decade?
Yeah.
You're coming up on 2. Yeah. What gets you up?
I mean, there's an old Jay-Z quote. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. It's just business to me. I love the spirit and the enthusiasm of sales. I love having a business where we don't spend money, man. You know my business model. We take the hustle and we turn it into let's face it, we make really good money.
It is, it's fucking rad.
Yeah. I mean, as a man, as a father, as the head of household, to be able to do that and provide, I can't relate to not waking up in the morning enthusiastic to go make, I used to say forever, I have the opportunity to make $10,000 today.
Yeah.
What is it now? Price points have doubled.
Yeah.
Now
I'm so amped. I want to go get
every morning. like I'm chomping at the bit.
It's
bro.
rad.
I can't wait to get in there
that's awesome.
and be the first guy out on the course.
So talk to me on accountability then.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you keep yourself accountable. You're passionate about this. Now you've grown a little bit. You have some partners, team members, I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, sure.
And I imagine that there's accountability for everybody. My question is, as a new agent like Isaiah, how do you keep yourself accountable? And then as you've grown, how do you keep others accountable? Do they keep you accountable? Are you still coaching with Mike Ferry?
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the beauty of accountability, right? Is it's a two-way street, whether you like it or not. On paper, I might be the team lead and they may be team members, but the reality is when you're out there doing the job together, that's a different level of accountability when you're looking somebody in the eye day in and day out, and you know what that person's goal is and their business plan, and you know what their goal for that week is, and you have to look me in the eye and I have to do the same and answer the question, hey, did you do it? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Not what I said you were going to do. Did you do it? So, I mean, coaching is great. There's different ways to do it. I've always looked at our team, Steve, more as like an accountability group than a traditional real estate team where there's a team lead and that's the name and that's the brand and other agents come in and work for that name and that brand. Our team's not like that at all. Our team members brand themselves individually. My name is not on any of their marketing, any of their advertising, any of their listings, where, it's more the accountability of a good environment, a group environment where, we set these crazy goals at the beginning of the year and then we help each other throughout the year to stay accountable to them.
It's rad. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, tell you that.
Yeah.
A lot more fun than showing up and closing the door and doing it yourself.
So tell me, what is I don't want to get too much into the team stuff about your structure, but it's just interesting to hear. So about it's kind of like, hey, we're all equals here. We're all holding each other's hands. What's interesting to me, I guess my takeaway is, for most quote unquote team leads, there's a huge amount of ego. And what you're saying is 16 years in the business, you've got somebody that's saying, hey, Todd, you make your calls today? I mean, that level, I think there's a level of humility that you bring to it as well, which is, it's I don't know why I keep being struck by the idea of like the 300. You see that 300 movie like a decade ago where it's
Spartans?
The 300, this is Sparta. Where the leader is fighting alongside his troops. This isn't a scenario with some of these bigger teams where the team lead is like just doing organizational kind of stuff. You're smiling and dialing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes back to the hustle of it. For me, the hunt, we call it. Yeah. The hunt is the joy. That's what gets me going. It's just it's enjoyable.
You're salivating
it's fun.
on the mic there, Todd.
I mean, I don't know what it's like to not hustle. I've had a hustle since high school. There's always something It was always
now it's legal though.
Yes, you're for sure. Now we're legit.
In your team, Todd, is there, because I know we're talking about the whole mentorship aspect, and I'm just curious to know, like with your team and the dynamic of your team, has there been a single piece of advice that you received when you first started in the business that you always pass down? Like, for example, I know you have Joseph now on your team.
Yeah,
great young kid. He's close to me.
Yeah.
And so, like, was there anything that you have with your team that you always pass down, just make sure they know?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but we go right back to that word consistency, and Joseph is a great example. Younger kid, newer to the business, just starting to get going. I think he sold 9 or 10 listings. We've all been there. Yeah. We've all been exactly at that point where, like you say, Steve, that it's easy to be excited about it in the beginning when you're cracking it open, but at the same time, like, what I'm jumping around here.
No.
There's a dozen questions.
Absolutely.
On this list.
And this is honestly why we can just throw the paper out your window.
What's the why, right? Like, why is it important? And I was thinking about that driving in this morning. In the early years for me, the why is, when it's just survive.
Yes,
that's easy.
Absolutely.
When it's sink or swim.
Yes,
that's when you learn to swim. So you're not thinking much about the why. You're just trying to get your head back above water. And then you get it above water, and what's the why then? And everybody goes to the default, well, it's my family.
Right.
It's, and all of these things that are universally true that we want, that hold us accountable, and the people that we want to be accountable to, the ones we love. Most cases we'll do more for them than we'll do even for our own selves.
Right.
And then, okay, now you're doing that. Now you're providing. Now, now it's kind of like, all right, well, what do you really want it to look like? I think that the answer to that question, not only will it change over the years and over a career, but I think it's different for everybody.
Absolutely.
Too. I do knowing what yours is.
And I do think it becomes easy to get comfortable. Yeah. I completely agree with you, because Isaiah asked me a couple weeks ago, like, when did I start to feel comfortable in the business?
Yeah.
And I told him some cliche answer, like when I started to believe it. But I certainly agree with you. For the first 6 years, 7 years, I'm just trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to hustle because I got no other option.
Correct.
Now, you and I have an option.
Options.
We don't have to hustle the next 2 weeks.
Correct.
We're still going to be able to pay the mortgage. And so, from the outside looking in, you strike me as somebody that they want to work because they love to hunt. They love to chase. But my goodness, you're 16 years in.
I mean, for now, right? I mean, myself, I'm 51 years old. What do I want my 50s to look like? That's a lot like the 40s looked like. I'm still raising kids. I got a daughter off in college, and she's doing her thing, and I got a son who's still with us and living at home. So I feel like at this chapter where I'm at in my life, and that, they say that most men will make the majority of their money in their 50s, so then we don't have to in our 60s and beyond. God willing, we all live long, healthy lives, and we see that. What do I really want it to look like? Bigger picture, longer term. And I doubt at that point I'll be working 40, 50 hours.
Are you asking yourself that question a lot?
Every day. Yeah, constantly. That's if there's
so there's your why.
Yeah, if there's a why,
right,
it's what do I want that to look like for me, and even more so for them.
Yeah,
I think about
the question that I can have this look however I want it to look.
Yep.
I can, if I want to make $1 million this year, I can make $1 million.
Correct.
And does that actually make me happy?
Right.
Like, what do I actually want?
Right.
And I love what I'm hearing, and I'm like really absorbing all this. And I wanted to go back just one last time for newer agents as well. So now, like you said, you're in your 50s, and clearly you've been having the success for 16 years now. So mentorship for yourself, outside of the accountability for your team, do you have a mentor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I was thinking about this driving in this morning too, that I think at the end of the day, that changes too, right? And, you ask, who were some of my early mentors? Back in those days, in the early century, 21 days for me, it was obviously David and Sarah Jackson,
right?
Rest in peace. They were big on me, and getting introduced to the Ruth Pughs of the world, and the Richard Eliases of the world, and the agents. Like I say, these are people that even before knowing them, even before you know someone, they can still be your mentor. Mm-hmm. We are influencing, who knows how many people, Steve, watch you do your thing.
You influence me, and I barely know you, Todd.
Right. We're getting to know. We've worked together for years. Professionally, we have a working relationship. We're getting to know each other more, where you're one of those guys. I remember the first time that I made the top 21 and looking up at the list and seeing guys like you on it. Like, wow, I wonder what that guy's life is like. And, if I can do this another year.
Right.
Another year. What's that going to look like 5 years from now? Where will I be? Again, God willing, right? How old are my kids going to be at that age? What are my responsibilities going to look like? What kind of schools do we want them to go to? What kind of vacations do we want to go on? What kind of lifestyle do I want to have? And if you can fast forward a little bit and visualize that and becoming that reality, then that can become the why.
My big takeaway is you ask the big question every damn day.
At least once a day, right? At least
what am
once
I
a
doing?
Day. Ask yourself.
What's important?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and you've started that early. A new agent, your opinion, should start doing. I mean, maybe you didn't do it as early as.
Granted, I was 35, going on 36 when I got into real estate.
So you had some life experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I felt like, in a way, looking back on those years, I guess in my mind, I kind of felt like maybe I was catching up.
Yes.
I was catching up on lost time or lost opportunities. But, that's what's great about what we do is there is no glass ceiling. Like you said, there are agents out there that make $1 million a year. If that's what if you're willing to do the work and you have a blueprint and a plan that you can execute and do that, there's nobody stopping you from doing that.
And I think with what you're saying too is like, you started at 22. I got my license at 24, but I mean, then pandemic happened, and fast forward to now, and now this is where
another excuse on why I can't
another
do
excuse. I'm sorry.
We're talking mindset, damn it.
I know, and I was trying to relax. But I'm going somewhere.
The reality is, at 35, you do have a bit more life experience. I had bought and sold a few places already.
You had a family.
By the time
you had a mortgage.
Correct.
I mean, so I guess I'm going to interrupt Isaiah's question, which probably wasn't very good anyway.
No, it was good.
To ask you a real question, which is, you came from you obviously had another job. Yeah. You obviously had bills. Were you married and with children at that time?
Yes, my daughter. When we came to San Diego, my daughter was 4, and my son was born literally 2 months after we moved here. And at the time, I had a music business, a music distribution business, and DJ, and I was still DJing a lot. I was still flying back and forth to Vegas every weekend.
So you didn't jump in wholeheartedly, like you.
Well, yes and no. So here's the thing: I kind of look at that as a bridge, where from the day that I started, when I got my real estate license, I said it's sink or swim. I'm doing this full time, and I have always worked 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. 5 days a week. That's 10 hours a day, 50 hours a week. And I still do that. Granted, now it's more like 4 or 4.5 days a week, but that's still the blueprint. I was doing all the other stuff on top of that. So it wasn't like doing real estate part-time and still doing my other business. It was doing real estate full-time, going home on Friday afternoon and taking a nap so I could go to the gig and spend till 2:00 in the morning and then get on a plane Saturday.
To the hustle, bro.
Yeah.
You love the hustle.
I mean, it's, I think about those years, and God bless my wife, for being my rock and holding me down and everything at the house so that could happen, because, you guys know, we have some special needs in my household that will always come first no matter what. So, I wasn't going to leave them hanging on any of that other stuff no matter what. So sure, what did it really mean? The first few years I was working 2 jobs. Right. Like, how many people work 2 jobs that got it way worse than you and me?
Absolutely.
A lot.
I get one more question, because first boss man interrupted the last one.
Yes.
And then he friendly.
I like this little thing you guys got going on here. I enjoy it.
Here's what the paper says. You get one more question, dipshit, make it good.
Just so you know, I'm like the intern. I still get this guy's coffee, and that's okay. You got to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues in this business,
right?
Yes,
you do. Okay. That's becoming an old school concept.
He's learning the hustle.
But you absolutely got to pay dues.
You got to pay your dues.
No way around
And I'm going to ask you one last thing.
Yeah.
Do you believe in coaching?
Well, yeah, sure. what the mind can see and believe it can achieve, right? So in coaching, I feel like there's two elements to coaching. There's the coaching element of you're going to coach me and you're going to teach me something that I don't know. You're going to give me a new skill that I can then develop. And then there's the coaching element of, okay, you're already Michael Jordan,
right?
But you haven't won the championship, and then Phil Jackson comes in, and what happens? You win 3 in a row, and then you win another 3 in a row. So, there's developing that, and just I think the accountability to. There's that old saying, none of us is as smart as all of us. Yeah. And if nothing more, the reality is we all, the term might be a coach, but we all need levels of accountability.
Absolutely.
We all need that mastermind, just a conversation like this where I already can see it in your face, Steve. I'm going hard when I'm out of here, and so are you, right? Because we're going to walk out of this room a little bit better than we were when we walked into it.
Todd,
that's what happens when you put two lions together.
Absolutely.
We want to go kill something.
Absolutely. What about this guy right here?
Come on. The cub.
Right.
That's the word. The cub. And the cub.
Okay, Simba, calm down a little bit. Todd, it's a pleasure to have you in studio. I won't say this to every guest. We look forward to having you back.
Yes.
And as we talked about kind of off air before we started was some of the intricacies, some of the techniques and the strategies as it relates to talking to people, mirroring, those kinds of things. It is rad to have you in studio. I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, no, you guys too.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, no, you guys too. You guys are great.
And thank you guys for joining us. As always, please subscribe, share. Can you share a podcast? I don't know. Whatever the social media questions, send them to Isaiah. He'll be able to assist there. We look forward to your feedback. If there's a topic that you'd like to see us talk about, if there's something that you think that we can do better, or Isaiah can, just let us know. And then we'll see you next time here. Contingent on You Listening podcast.
Thank you, everyone.
Out.
We'll see you next time.